you said.
Okay, sorry.
Now start.
Hello, I'm Nikhil Singh. I'm a research assistant for the Gay Association. I went to Case Western Reserve University for my bachelor's in psychology.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up, the first 5 years of my life I grew up in India,
Where?
in Vishakhapatnam.
Where is that?
So it's in the state of Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah. And where is that in India?
Geographically, I'm not too familiar. But I think
South.
South. Yeah, but it is in the south, but yeah, southwest or southeast.
And there are a huge community of people from there in the United States.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's probably the largest group of people from India here.
From the state, yeah. From that state, yeah. There's a lot of them.
Okay, just remember we're talking to the audience,
Yeah.
so we have to give them context.
Sure. Yeah.
And what do your parents do?
So my mother, she's an entrepreneur of sorts. She runs a salon, day spa and salon, a restaurant, as well as a banquet hall. And then my father is a computer engineer
Where?
at Wells Fargo Bank
Where?
in Arizona. They're both in Arizona. So he manages like the credit system for Wells Fargo.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Are they successful?
I believe so, yeah. Given where they started and where they are now.
Uh-huh. Did they go to college?
So my mom, she went to college. She got a bachelor's in botany, so not very relevant for what she's doing now. But yeah, she went to college, and my dad went to a pretty good engineering school.
Where?
It's in Trichy. It's a place in India.
Where?
The state, I'm not too familiar.
All right. The second
But,
part
yeah.
of the interview, you looked it up.
Sure. I mean, I can.
And when did they
where-
immigrate?
Okay.
When did they come to this country?
So they came. My father came first. He came in 2000, and then we came a few months later. Like 6 or 7 months later, in 2000.
Were you already married?
Well, I was 4.
No, were they married?
Yes, they were married. Yeah.
So how did they meet?
How did they meet? So actually, their fathers were pretty good friends. My mother's father as well as my father's father, and it was arranged. My dad was a good engineering student, and they thought that.
Okay, that's what we need to know. Now ask your questions.
Ask my questions.
You were a
Yes.
psych major at Case Western,
Right. Yes.
and you're interested in personality disorders,
Yeah, that's one of my interests for sure.
and you're interested in suicide.
Yeah, suicide prevention, intervention, all that.
Uh-huh, and what else?
I think those two are the only big areas of psychology I've explored. So I might be interested in also, I guess, bipolar disorder. I did some work in that at Case Western, especially pediatric bipolar disorder. I found that very interesting, given its low prevalence rate, and then also how
Young they are.
Yeah, how young they are, and the problems we have with diagnosing them as well. I guess
Yeah, we would
diagnosis-
agree.
Yeah.
And bipolar, is 100% inherited.
Yeah, it has a high genetic heritability rate, yeah.
And so is schizophrenia. They have to be triggered,
Right.
but they're clearly, you see big changes in the brain. And that's one of the projects. Somebody asked me what I would do with $1 trillion. I would surely like to understand where stages of development are in the brain and where all the degenerative and mental illness things are. I don't think mental illness is all situational. And in fact, I don't even think the effects of trauma are all situational. The Philadelphia study over 50 years ago, they looked at women who had been raped
Right.
repeatedly as children. 1/3 of them didn't even remember it.
Hmm.
1/3 remembered it, and but were okay, and 1/3 of them were really messed up.
Right.
So we don't even understand that.
Right.
But okay, so now you can ask some questions.
I guess a good question to ask, first question would be, is there a psychologist or clinician or scientist that you haven't had a chance to work with, like maybe it was before your time or even now, that you would have liked to work with?
I had pretty much all the opportunities. I would have surely liked to have known Tolman.
Okay.
I never. He died before. I knew students of Tolman, Alan Riley, and Kresh, who I didn't like at all. But I mean, Tolman had a big influence on me. I would have liked to have known Hull. I didn't care about Freud, and I didn't care about I would have liked to have known Darwin.
Yeah.
I think Darwin is a very interesting guy. I knew Einstein's son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he worked at the in the mining building at Berkeley. He hated his father.
Oh, okay.
I knew 11 Nobel Prize winners, and I worked for one of them, Alvarez, and I would surely like to know Dawkins, and I would like to at least talk to Higgs. And I'm very interested in the fact that, Higgs has a big connection to Scotland. And I'm interested in the fact that so many of the great innovators have a big connection to Scotland, not to England.
Oh, okay. I know.
And I'd like to know what it was about Scotland and Scottish culture and memes that make this so true. I mean, most of the Industrial Revolution was developed by Scots,
Right.
Watts and so forth. And it's very curious to me. I'm interested in anomalies. Were there any psychologists? I basically, every psychologist I ever wanted to know, I knew. I've always had access, so it was never a problem. If I wanted to know something, I'd call them up, talk to them, or I'd go visit them, or I'd meet them at a meeting. I don't think I've ever been deprived of contact. I mean, I'm upset that some of the greatest people that I know, like Gerhard Minnemeyer, are not recognized, and that the people in stage don't understand how important stage, in the Piaget Society, don't understand stage. Those things annoy me, but not the people. And I find there's so few really smart people. Paradigmatic is like 0.06% of the people, and God knows how few cross-paradigmatic people. But the number of cross-paradigmatic people that I've known are basically in psychology, maybe 3 or 4.
Rarely.
Very, very rare.
Yeah.
And they're always more boxed in than I am. They're not as broad. I see pretty much everything as being related. I don't think it happens. I mean, there are people I would have liked to have known, like I would have liked to have known Charlie Parker and Charles Mingus. The rebels, but I think that was in music. I mean, I know Lamont Young, who was the developer of minimalist music, so I know such people. So I've never felt deprived of people, and I didn't ever have any. I don't think I have too many heroes. I mean, Dawkins is I really would like to talk with Dawkins. I have some questions to ask
Yeah.
and some arguments to have.